Shmuel. We don't have Melachim Aleph and Melachim Bet. We have Melachim. So what happened here? The truth is that the first translation of the Tanakh, which is known as Targum HaShivim, was initiated by a Greek ruler who gathered 70 Chachamim in Alexandria. Actually made Sefer Shmuel and Sefer Melachim to one book, which was called Sefer HaMelachim. Because remember that the story about Shmuel was a prophet who crowned the Melachim, start the book of Shmuel, and ends with the Churban of Beit HaMikdash, where all the 21 Melachim that hopefully we are going to learn in Melachim Aleph and Melachim Bet ended the time of Beit Rishon. Are we okay with this or not really?
It's okay, yeah.
Okay.
Now we got it.
And therefore, they combined Sefer Shmuel and Sefer Melachim to one book, describing what happened from the very beginning of Malchut Israel, from the days of Shmuel, who eventually crowned Shaul and David, until the end of the Melachim. As a result of this translation, the Vulgata, that was the translation of the Tanakh to Latin, they also saw it as one book, but for practical reason, I mean to take like the entire book of Shmuel and Melachim and to put them together, they decided to divide it to 4 sections, which we know, Shmuel Aleph, Shmuel Bet, Melachim Aleph, Melachim Bet. Not seeing that actually it's not the same book, and we are going to explain why it's not the same book. They are very different in nature and in purpose. When an author writes a book, he has a purpose in mind. He wants to highlight an idea. He wants to show us something special. And Sefer Shmuel and Sefer Melachim have a different idea in mind. So first of all, I brought this page that talks about who wrote Sefer Melachim that we are going to see. Because according to Chachamim, Sefer Melachim was written separately from Sefer Shmuel. They are very different. Sefer Shmuel, I already told you, was written by Shmuel HaNavi himself up to the point where he died. So he described everything that happened before him, what happened in Shaul from his perspective, what happened with David with his perspective. And after Shmuel died, Natan, HaNavi, and Gad, who were the Nevi'im with David, they are taking on the mission to complete Sefer Shmuel. So Shmuel was written by the Nevi'im Shmuel, Natan HaNavi, and Gad. Sefer Melachim, very different. Yirmiyahu, Katav Sifro, he wrote Sefer Yirmiyahu. This is the first Braita. I'm going to talk about this Braita. It's a very important Braita. Chachamim, in the time of Rabbi Akiva and his friends, they tell us, they wrote a Braita, kind of Mishnah, telling us who wrote each book in the Tanakh. Because the question is, why did the Tanakh is so important? Like, who canonized the Tanakh? According to this Braita, every book in the Tanakh was canonized not by a decision of humans, or regular humans, but it was canonized by a decision of a Navi. In other words, by God himself, who gave his words to the Navi and instructed him in a way to write this book and to keep it as part of the 24 books of the Tanakh. So Yirmiyahu Katav Sifro, he wrote Sefer Yirmiyahu, Sefer Melachim, the Kinot. What is Kinot? Eicha, right? Where he lament about the Churban of Beit HaMikdash. According to this, Yirmiyahu wrote Sefer Melachim. Yirmiyahu, who lived at the end of the Melachim, because Yirmiyahu himself went to exile at the end of the time of Beit HaMikdash HaRishon, the first temple, when it was destroyed, at the end, after Eliyahu HaNavi, after Elisha, he wrote all the stories from the time of Shlomo HaMelech and his days. Now, this is very, very important because let me tell you right away, Sefer Melachim is very rich historically. Many events. Reports about one king that replaces the other, and we have 21 kings like this. And we might think at a certain point that Sefer Melachim is the Sefer of the history of the kings. And Chachamim want to tell us no. It was not written by historian. It was written by a Navi. And the big difference is that for a Navi, the message of the Tanakh is divine. This is not just to describe history. Of course, you can learn a lot from history. But our Tanakh is talking about messages that will be relevant forever. And therefore, certain major events were not included in the Tanakh because their message was already told us by another story, or the message is not that important. I'll give you one example. We are going to learn about one of the greatest kings ever, Achav. Achav, with no question, he was a wicked king, that's true, but he was the most successful and powerful king in the history of Am Yisrael. He managed to stretch the land unbelievably, to fight wars against semi-empires, and to be successful. And we know it from sources not in the Tanakh. Some of the most successful wars he fought against, as I said, Aram and Assyria, are not mentioned in the Tanakh. Why? Because the Tanakh is not about history. You want to learn history? Take a book, a history book. The Tanakh is teaching us divine messages. And the Tanakh talks a lot about Achav, but more about his moral values, or immoral values, more correctly. So the fact that Yirmiyahu wrote it is telling us right away that Yirmiyahu wrote the history. Yes, you can learn a lot of history, but this was not the purpose of writing Sefer Melachim. He wrote it from a certain perspective. And let me ask you, if Yirmiyahu wrote his book, which is telling us about the corruption in Yerushalayim, you know, today the newspaper, you read about corruption, like of the government or the prime minister, it's all shtuyot, but it's not for politics right now. I mean, Yirmiyahu is talking about a real corruption. Real corruption. Like how the rich people use and exploit and treat terribly the people under them. How they took everything of power. Actually, they almost killed Yirmiyahu himself because they didn't want to listen to his messages. This is Yirmiyahu. And then he wrote Eicha, telling us the terrible story, the tragedy that happened to Am Yisrael until this very day in a way. Remember, we don't have 10 tribes. Where are they? They disappeared from Jewish history at the time of Yirmiyahu. And he wrote Sefer Melachim. Now let me ask you, after you know something about Yirmiyahu, what do you think was in focus of Yirmiyahu when he wrote Sefer Melachim? The history of the Melachim. Try to connect all the dots. His book, which is one of the saddest and hard to digest books in the Tanakh, Eicha and Melachim, which basically most of it is quite just description of what happened that we are going to see. But what is the purpose of Yirmiyahu? What do you think? Why Yirmiyahu stepped up 400 years later to write about Shlomo and about his children and about the Malchei Yehuda and the Melachim of Am Yisrael? What did he have in mind? Yes?
Obeying God or not obeying? What happened? Consequences?
He want to give us the flashback. You know, sometimes you go to a movie and the director show you the picture that actually ends the movie, and then he goes backwards to tell you how it developed. That's Yirmiyahu. Yirmiyahu want to tell us that the seeds for the destruction started in the very beginning of the building of Beit HaMikdash. it was there. Like when they build it with a ticking bomb in a way that gradually destroy Beit HaMikdash. So first of all, when we are going to read Sefer Melachim, we have to have in mind that one of the purposes of Yirmiyahu writing Sefer Melachim is to explain us from the eye of the Navi, from the divine eye, behind the curtain, why eventually the temple was destroyed. This is not at all the focus of Sefer Shmuel. Sefer Shmuel rarely writes about the Mishkan. Yes, it starts with the story actually of Shiloh, but actually the destruction of Shiloh. And the Mishkan is mentioned here and there. We brought the idea that David from the very beginning wanted to build a Mishkan, a Mikdash to Hashem, but he was never successful. It's only Shlomo that is going to do it. So, Sefer Melachim focus on the Mikdash. Sefer Shmuel focuses on the beginning of kingdom, establishment of Malchut, of kingdom. One more thing, Sefer Shmuel, therefore, is talking about people. Who was Shaul? Why Shaul was not eventually the king that built a dynasty? Who was David? Why David was the person to establish a dynasty? And David, as we learn in Shmuel, was the person that sometimes was on the highest points of Jewish history and sometimes in a very low point. But Sefer Shmuel talks about people. Sefer Melachim goes from the people and talks about the fact that Am Yisrael had kingdom. It's not about individuals because something new started. David started a dynasty. There was no dynasty in Sefer Shmuel. It was Shaul. Unfortunately, he was almost the last one. Yes, there was the artificial attempt to have his son, but it failed completely. He was not establishing a dynasty. David, and this is a story about David, he is the person that will, in Sefer Melachim, start a dynasty. With all the troubles of a dynasty, of course, because they split and so on. We are going to learn about it later. So again, Sefer Shmuel is talking, number one, about establishing the kingdom and about the people who did it, Shaul and Shmuel. Sefer Melachim is dealing with the nation, especially about their religious center, about Beit HaMikdash. And as I said, Yirmiyahu wrote it in order to tell us, see how from the very beginning something went wrong. And that's what we are going to see. Let's start with the first psukim. This was kind of introduction, and I think we are ready to start the psukim. What I want you to do is to read for yourself, but read it like carefully. The psukim Aleph and Dalet. One of the things that I really enjoyed in the series of the classes is to get your comments. Many of your questions inspired me to go and to explore, and sometimes I found wonderful things. So please read it, but more than read it, learn it. Try to understand what's going on here, what the questions that are popping up, and let's share it together. Yeah. What kind of like introduction to the to Sefer Melachim, right? I'm sorry? No, you know what? There is no bad comment here because it's really like raised some question. I'm sure that like you read and you think, oh, how you introduce like the book in such a way. What do you learn here? What do we read here? What happened here? What the purpose of this psukim?
I would think it's showing that he was so affected by his old age that and needing Avishag, that it showed that he was seen by, well, in particular Adoniyahu, but by people as losing control. He's out of it. He's out of the picture.
With no question, the first psukim come to teach us David is out of the picture. He is completely, like physically and mentally, is like out of like functioning. He cannot functioning. Let's read it. והמלך דוד זקן בא בימים. 70 years old he was at the time, by the way. Think about it.
In those days it was.
ויכסו בבגדים ולא יחם לו. It was so bad that he did not have, his body simply could not generate enough energy to keep his warmth. You know, this is a basic thing that every human body try to produce enough heat in order to keep all the body functioning. David was not able to do it. Yes.
Okay, so didn't he have 18 wives that he needed a young virgin?
Wait, we will get there. Absolutely.
Yeah, they were both already.
We will see that. Well, we'll talk about these kind of things in a second. By the way, do you remember who else was Baba Yamim?
Yaakov.
Who the Tanakh said he was Baba Yamim? If you are davening Nusach Sfarad in Rosh Chodesh, you say it after Hallel. Abraham Zaken Baba Yamim. He was 147 at the time. Big difference. He was less than half. He was 70 years old and already is Baba Yamim. By the way, there is another person in the entire Tanakh that it said that he was Baba Yamim, Zaken Baba Yamim. This is Yoshua. And the Tanakh described Baba Yamim for a good reason. What is common to Abraham and Yoshua and David? What is this expression of Baba Yamim is like his days were gone or something like this? What does that mean? Like why Abraham, Yoshua and David? Do you see a connection here? Yes?
They accomplished everything they needed to.
I'm sorry?
They accomplished everything they needed.
They accomplished, that's very true. Very true. But what is, there were many other that were very like, accomplici, how do you say it? Accomplished, yeah. But what is common to Abraham, Yoshua and David? And I would say that it's a little bit in contrast to David. I'll tell you what I think. Abraham accomplished a huge change in Jewish history. He was the first Jew. He started the Jewish nation. Upon dying, there was kind of danger to everything that he achieved so far. He was the first Jew. He had only one son. However, the Sefer Bereshit is telling us that everything that Abraham had, he gave over to Yitzchak. There was continuity. Abraham will die, Yitzchak will take over. Yoshua was the first one to bring the nation to Eretz Israel. They did not complete the job. Because even when Yoshua died, there were pockets of the Knaanim, the Yevusim. Yerushalayim, for example, was not in our hands when Yoshua conquered the land. You know, the Jewish people are patient, hopefully. Well, even Yoshua did not conquer the entire land. But there was continuity. After Yoshua came the Shoftim, there was Pinchas, and they continued what Yoshua started. By the way, the final conquer of the land was achieved by David HaMelech. David also started something big. Malchut Israel. He's the first king in a dynasty that will be after him. And here is the difference. We come to a point where David never take care about who is going to be the next. And this is a big problem. You started something, that's great, but you have to make sure that someone will be after you. And unlike Abraham, who had a successor, unlike Yoshua, that had the Zkenim, the Shoftim, to take over, David is Zaken, Ba Bayamim, cannot function well, and had no one to be after him. And this gives us the idea of what happened in the first period, because the manipulations and assuming power is really mind-boggling if you think that David is still the king. How it happened. So the Tanakh has to tell us, you should know, yes, David was alive, but actually he could not do anything. Not physically and not mentally. He had difficult life with his children, with the wars inside and outside, such a wonderful father-in-law. You know, it's a whole balagan. So in the age of 70, he was drained completely. בא בימים, ואפילו יחסו בבגדים ולא יחם לו. This is the lowest point because he cannot sustain himself. ויאמרו לו עבדיו, יבקשו לאדוני המלך נערה בתולה. ועמדה לפני המלך. ותהי לו סוכנת, ושכבה בחיקך בחם לאדוני המלך. They found a heater. מה זה בדיוק? נערה בתולה. They thought, you know, that's the last resort. You know, you ask me why נערה בתולה. חכמים say that she's like, I don't know, she's hotter than Beula. That's what Chachamim say, that apparently she had the potential to warm him better than others, whatever it means. Yeah. Who else was like this, by the way? Who else was like this? יבקשו למלך נערה בתולה. Achashverosh, of course, right? And we are going to see why the Tanakh, not here, because this story of Achashverosh happened many years later, model it the same way as here. And we can reflect from one to another, maybe to understand better what happened here. We are going to talk about it in a second. טוב, יבקשו נערה יפה בכל גבול ישראל, וימצאו את אבישג השונמית, ויביאו אותה למלך. Shunem, very interesting. Everyone who visited Israel, next to Afula, there is a place that's called Khirbat Shuni. It's beautiful because the Romans built a whole system of waters going through Shuni, and one of the best preserved in the world amphitheaters of the Romans. So they had water, which they liked a lot, amphitheater, and it's called Khirbat Shuni. It's a beautiful place, not far away from Binyamina. And why Shuni? Because it's Shunem. It was the Hebrew name of Shunem. And as I told you many times, the Arabs did us a great favor because most of the important cities, they kept their names. When they say that, you know, it's all ours, they just forgot to erase the names. The Romans were smart. They took Yerushalayim, they called it Ilia Capitolina. They did not want any connection to Yerushalayim. You cannot hear Yerushalayim. The Arabs, when they came, or they heard from the nomads, they called, what is Ramallah? I told you, it's Ramah. Ramah. It's where Ramah is. If you go to Ramah or to Nebi Samuel, which is the place where the Nabi Shmuel was, you can see it. It's like higher than any other place. So we have Ramot, they have Ramallah. It's about like what, 3-4 kilometers apart. Or Ramatayim Tzofim. Apparently it was one Ramallah and one in Ramot. when it was like, belongs to the same country. Aljib is Givon, and Shuni is Shunem. So it was a city next to Afula of today. Then there was no Afula. And the girl came from there. She was beautiful. They found her. They brought her to the king. והנערה יפה עד מאוד. She was beautiful. ותהי למלך סוכנת ותשרתהו. והמלך לא ידעה. However, the main purpose why they brought her, in order to sleep with the king did not sleep with her. According to Chachamim, the Torah said that a melech had a limit of how many women he had. These are 18 women, and he already had 18. And apparently they were not good enough. Therefore they wanted another one, but when they brought her, although she was very, very beautiful, והמלך לא ידע, he didn't know her. And it was not because dementia, that's a way of the Tanakh to say that he did not have any relation with her. Yeah. So here the story, it's a sad story. It's a story about a very active king, a king who conquered the land, united Bnei Israel under him, but in the end of his days, he's very sick. He's not functioning at all. By the way, one thing you can see right away, it's all around David HaMelech. David HaMelech is not involved. It's like Chaz v'Chalila, a person who is in his deathbed and he cannot do anything. The people around him are organizing his life, even for the most intimate things. He cannot take control over it. You don't hear him say a word, agree, disagree, suggesting, nothing. David HaMelech is doing nothing. And of course, someone, there is no vacuum, especially where you have lots of power. And now we can understand what happened in Pasuk A. ואדוניה בן חגית מתנשא לאמור אני אמלוך. Many people say he was rebellious, but you know what? If you read the Tanakh carefully, you don't see it. It was a vacuum, because David is not functioning. Someone has to step in. So Adoniah thought, I'm the person. And we are going to see why. ויעש לו רכב ופרשים ו50 איש רצים לפניו. As I said, because we talked about another person who did exactly the same. Today, when the president or the prime minister, usually like there are a few cars in front of him, or if you can see like the ceremonies in other monarchies, normally like the king is on the horse, and people are running in front of him. By the way, in North Korea, I just saw like a video clip how indeed that what happened. He driving the car and people are running in front of him. It's like showing kavod, and maybe they protect him better this way. I don't know, but I heard that these people are running like 50 kilometers a day to keep their strength. And I guess when they are getting slower, yeah. So, who else did it? The same trick? Yes? No, not Aman. He doesn't say that he took like, he had a source, it's true. But who did exactly the same? He took people and self-crowned himself. And exactly, Avshalom.
His brother.
The people who were here when we learned Sefer Shmuel, that's exactly what Avshalom did. Because how do you tell the people that you are going to be the next king? You start to behave like a king. So everyone said, he like riding as a king, he's doing things as a king, so he's a king.
Wasn't he the oldest of the children?
Who? No,
Avshalom,
Amnon was the oldest one. You are going to see in the next pasuk what happened. ולא עצבו אביו בימיו לאמור מדוע כך עשית. Number one, he thought, I'm going to be the next king because my father never told me that I did anything bad. It was already like today, you know, that everyone deserves a trophy. You cannot say about a student that he doesn't learn, he doesn't, no, he's excellent. We didn't find we could not find a way to fulfill his potential. Everyone is wonderful, he's a genius. So לא עצבו אביו מימיו לאמור. His father never said, listen, like, I give you one punch because I don't like what you did. He never heard it. So he assumed that I'm so good, so apparently my father see me as the next king. By the way, the same words like Avshalom. Exactly, ולא עצבו אביו מימיו לאמור. He did whatever he wanted. David did not put like a border or draw a red line. So sometimes children see it as an opportunity to step over the line. וגם הוא טוב תואר מאוד. He was beautiful.
Like Avshalom.
Yes.
Avshalom was supposed
Exactly
to be
like Avshalom. The words here are taken from Avshalom, and here the most important, ואותו ילדה אחרי אבשלום. And he was the next in line after Avshalom. So he said, like, Amnon was killed by Avshalom. The second one, Kilab, we don't hear about him anymore. The third is Avshalom. And I'm the fourth one. So no one above me. I'm naturally the next king. We are going to see that the same way that Avshalom brought the Tzoros upon himself, that's exactly what is going to happen with Adoniah. The Tzarot did not happen like Hashem punished him. The trick of Hashem is that we punish ourselves. We sin, we bring the tzarot upon ourselves sometimes. And we are going to see that this kind of behaviors of Adoniah, not in a punitive way, they themselves caused him his punishment later. והיו דבריו עם יואב בן צרויה. Well, to assume power, it's not only about the king. You need a team. And he's building a team. He already have people run in front of him, but he needs like the power, the people around him, and we are going to see how he assumed power. והיו דבריו עם יואב בן צרויה. What was the job of Yoav ben Tzruya with David?
General, no?
The army.
Yeah.
The army. He was the admired general of the time, like General Patton. More than that, he was like recognized by everyone as the greatest general of Am Israel. We do know that at the end of Sefer Shmuel, David got upset with him. Because he killed two people that David did not want him to kill. He was apparently quickly to be angry, like hot-blooded. David was very concerned about it, and he didn't like the fact that he killed Avner ben Ner and Amasa. And he called also Eviatar HaKohen, who was very loyal to David. When David ran away from Avshalom, he took him, who was the Kohen at the time? Eviatar HaKohen. ויעזרו אחרי אדוניה. So, why Yoav and Eviatar HaKohen? What does he get by recruiting them to his side?
Power.
Very important, but what centers of power?
No.
The army
And
and the religious, right? He takes the religious, like Eviatar HaKohen, he was like a Kohen Gadol, and Yoav. This is quite powerful. You have all the army behind you, and you have the religious, the rabbis, the Kohanim also with you. That's very impressive. Before we go ahead, a very simple question. What can we learn about the person who is recruiting others to make sure that he is going to be the next king? Is it a step of confidence or lack of confidence or apprehension? What would we expect to happen, let's say, if one day, as it was expected and happened at the end, we know that David is going to die. Maybe it happened a week later, days later. What would be the natural course of events? What do you think? In the mind of Adoniah, what did he think is going to happen?
So if he's the natural heir, so he's going to be crowned the king. He doesn't have to do these
Exactly.
political machinations.
You know, the prince, I don't know how they call the British guy now, they are in the news again, I don't know, like the Philip, not Philip, what
Harry.
Harry.
no, this is the
Charles.
Gigi law, I'm talking about like the one who is going to replace the queen.
Charles.
Charles, okay, yeah. The one from Diana, or okay. Charles. He does not have to do anything to assume power. His mother is old, that may have a slim, if we can say that. But, you know, he does not have to do anything. It's quite clear. He's the oldest son. He's going to be the next one. Why Adoniah has to do all these kind of things? He's not going to kill his father and to take his place. He's waiting, but he said, I want to make sure that there is no 1 second that someone might think that I'm not going to be the king. So, as they are going to say the king is dead, they will scream with it, long live the new king, right? And I'm going to be the king. But why is it needed?
Competition.
Worrying of what? Competition with who?
The other brothers.
Who is the next in line?
So
He's really after Avshalom.
But has David said?
Of course he was afraid of competition, yes?
Didn't David promise Bathsheba that Shlomo-in-law?
We are going to discuss it if he indeed promised her or not, or it was just like giving a person a check, you know, okay, one day you can cash it. And it's not clear that it was known to everyone. By the way, we are going to see that it was very intimate between Bathsheba and Natan. We are going to see it later. But I would say that this by itself shows us that he was insecure.
No confidence.
He was afraid, and you know, people are insecure when they know that they don't worth it. That really behind the Tov Toar, Ve'yafeh, and his old age, Shlomo at the time was 13 years old, by the way, he doubt himself if he can be a king or not. So in order to overcome his lack of confidence, he said, you know what? I'm going to behave like a king and everyone will accept me as a king. Because otherwise he doesn't need to do all this. It's completely redundant. Just wait there and David will make you the king. Or naturally the people will accept you as the king. So I want you to have it in mind that we can see already here that apparently beyond the issue of the Shvuah and the promise and Shlomo and Bathsheba with all the problems, Adoniah did not believe in himself, first of all. He had to enforce his kingship over the people. And now let's go into the heads of Yoav, who was very, very sharp and smart. Why did he join forces with Adoniah and did not wait until David will die or David will instruct his people if he still can do it? Why he joined right away with Adoniah?
To keep himself safe because he knows that David has it in for him. So maybe David's going to tell whoever's coming next to get him now.
He was, I don't want to call it opportunist, but when you know that the old king was upset with you, you want to keep your share safe, and by aligning forces, like joining forces with the new king, he keep his status very high because he knew that David himself did not like him. So he wants to be on the winning side. Why didn't he join Shlomo? That is we are going to see later. We will maybe talk about it in a second. That Yoav also had a problem with Shlomo. We are going to see it in a second.
What about Aviatar Kohen?
What about Aviatar? Aviatar was very loyal to David. And you know what? My feeling is that Aviatar, he saw already that Yoav joined him. And he assumed on the surface it looked like indeed Amnon is going to take the kingdom. So he wanted him to be connected to a religious instructor or rabbi, whatever it is, the Kohen, and he joined forces with him. I don't think that he had anything bad in mind, and it's possible that Yoav himself did not have anything bad in mind. Yeah, we want to think about the fact that David did not like him, so he had an interest to join forces with Adonijah, it's true, but it might be again that they just saw what's going on, and maybe each one of us would say, yes, for sure, Adonijah is going to be the next in line. So let's Dan Chavero lekaf zchut. It might be that on the surface, the candidate, the most fit candidate is going to be actually Adonijah. וצדוק הכהן, ובניהו בן יהוידע, ונתן הנביא, ושמעי ורעי, והגיבורים אשר לדוד, לא היו עם אדוניהו. When you choose people, you also at the same time ignore others. If you want to build a power, you must separate the people who might be against you. And here are the names. Tzadok HaKohen, who was for very long time also very loyal to David. Actually, when David ran away from Avshalom, it was Eviatar and Tzadok who accompanied him. But he had already one Kohen, he doesn't need another one, and then the rabbis will start fight. This is going to be the Kohen Gadol of the Sfaradim, this is going to be the Kohen Gadol of the Ashkenazim, this is going to want to Mehadrin, this want to not Mehadrin, like Badatz. He knew too many rabbis on my camp, this is like a recipe for a disaster. So one is enough. I don't know if this was it, but it makes sense. Yeah, things that did not change in the Jewish world in the last 3,000 years. Okay, so, and the other one is Natan HaNavi, Ebnayahu ben Yehoyada, who replaced Yoav as the chief of staff, but obviously he was not as experienced as Yoav and not admired as Yoav. Then Natan HaNavi, Shim'i veRe'i, who were two people who were very close to David HaMelech, והגיבורים אשר לדוד, the special unit, the bodyguards of David, לא היו עם אדוניהו. They did not join Adoniah. It's not clear for him from here if he tried to recruit them and they didn't join him. We are going to see that it was more than that. He put them aside. We are going to see later. What do we see from this selection of people? That he didn't want them around him? The same thing that we said before. He was insecure. People who were too close to David might reveal that maybe David is interested or instructed them that he wants someone else. Remember, he did not know for sure that David did not instruct anybody already or told someone, I want Shlomo or another son to be the king. So all the close advisors to David aside, they are not going to cause me any troubles later. So I have Yoav, I have Eviatar, that's enough. But what is the most important thing that he didn't have? And he didn't want to have? The most striking one here.
Natan.
Natan HaNavi. Because in Am Yisrael you have the religious, like the Kohanim. You have the political power, which was by Yoav. But you have a Navi. The Navi who tells you what Hashem wants. And you don't want a Navi to tell you you are not the person. And it happened. Eventually Natan arranged it in a way that the voice of Hashem was heard, that the next king is going to be Shlomo HaMelech. And Natan did not want anybody around him to bring him this message. So it's better to have the Navi outside. ויזבח אדוניהו, let's go to פסוק ט', צאן ובקר ומרי עם אבן הזוחלת. So Adoniyahu make a party. A party is always something that deserves attention. You know, the press is coming, people are coming to see what's going on. They see Adoniah in the center table. It was Adoniah and Yoav, and people start to get the idea, the publicity that he's going to be the next king, Adoniah. So he brings tzon ubakar umeri, because if there is no food, people don't come. עם אבן הזוחלת אשר אצל אין רוגל. There are many questions, what is אבן הזוחלת? But I saw one perush which is very, very interesting. Do you know there is an Italian game that you take like bocce
Bocce ball, yeah.
What is it?
Bocce ball.
They throw something on and it has to reach a certain point.
It's heavy, yeah.
So apparently it's a very ancient game. The Ralbag, who also was in Italy for a while, say that it was this kind of game. Even Azuchelet, they had an even that was crawling on the land. They used to throw it. So this was like a stadium, and this was a game of the aristocrats in Yerushalayim. So it was a stadium, Even Azuchelet, where they used to play this game with Even that is crawling, Zochelet, like a baby that Zochel al Haaretz, and until it reaches the bar or a place where it has to come. In other words, he did exactly what we do until this very day for publicity. We go to stadiums. We go where many people can gather on the branches, איך קוראים לזה באנגלית? Where people can sit.
Bleachers.
Bleachers? Okay. And he wanted to give it publicity. So they were sitting there, and people were watching them from all over. It's an Ein Rogel. Ein Rogel is not far away actually today from the Kotel HaMaravi. In Ir David, if you go to see Ir David, you will see where Ein Rogel is. ויקרא את כל אחיו בני המלך. There were, listen, from 18 wives, he had many other brothers, and he called all of them, ולכל אנשי יהודה עבדי המלך. And he called all the people of Yehuda אנשי המלך. Why אנשי יהודה? So here, I can't remember if I saw it somewhere or not, Adoniah was the one that was born in Hebron. Remember, David started his kingdom in Hebron. Then, in order to unite Am Yisrael, he moved to Yerushalayim that belonged to Am Yisrael, not only to Shevet Yehuda. This was one of the purposes why he moved from Hebron, that was one of the cities of Yehuda, to Yerushalayim, that was sitting between the area of Yehuda and the rest of Israel. Because he wanted a place that will unite everyone together. Shlomo was born in Yerushalayim. Amnon was born in Hebron. And in a way, we already saw this tension between the people of Yehuda and the people of Israel regarding the king. The expectation was that the king who comes from the tribe of Yehuda will be easier in taxing, in giving the good jobs to the people of Yehuda. And that's how Absalom came to power, because he promised the people of Yehuda that he is going, unlike his father, to give them jobs and to judge them more favorably, and they liked this idea. David removed himself. He tried to make himself a national king, not to be associated with one shevet, which gave him big troubles. Remember, when David came back after Absalom, who are the last one to accept him? The people of Yehuda. You might say, oh, this is the people of his tribe. Why should they give him troubles? The answer is, they said, we are not interested in David because he does not do anything good for us. It was like a union. He doesn't like, he's a king and we expect to prosper and to get the good jobs and maybe some deals with the taxing, and he's not doing anything. So actually Shevet Yehuda, who already saw that David is not favoring them, they had no interest to make him the king. Only troubles came to them from him. No favors, he's tough, he does not give them anything special. Why should they go with him? Adoniah is doing exactly the same trick as Absalom. He's calling the people of Yehuda. He tried to make his Shevet the stronghold, the basis to his power. ולמי הוא לא קורא? פסוק 2, ואת נתן הנביא, ובניהו, ואת הגיבורים, ואת שלמה אחיו, לא קרא. Even to this party, he did not invite them. Not only that he did not give them any jobs around him, he did not even bring them to the party. Now, this starts to be dangerous. Because, as we explained many times, the minhag, when there was a king that is taking over from another one, everyone who might be the opposition was killed. It happened even in the last century with the Romanov family. Once the Bolsheviks went into power, they killed every remnant of the Tsar family because they don't want troubles later. Someone will come and say, actually, I'm the king, it's supposed to come to me. The cruel and terrible minhag was, I'm the king, all the opposition is going to be killed, murdered, basically. And when Adoniah singled out all these people because he's afraid that they are going to be in the opposition, it's much more than just not getting being the king or getting the job. The opposition in dictatorship, and the monarchy is a dictatorship, is going to be wiped out. We have to understand this because this was the trigger of everything that is happening now. This was serious now, because Shlomo and his family is now destined to death, not less than that. They were not nice to each other at this time, and as I said, there are many cases that we already learned how, for example, Yonatan, the good friend of David, begging that he will not do anything to him when he will be the king or to his family. Why? Because that was the minhag. David takes the melucha from Shaul, the entire Beit Shaul is going to be wiped out. And David did not do it until the story with at the end of the parak, but we finish this story. ויאמר נתן אל בת שבע אם שלמה לאמור. Natan, he's the Navi. And he understands what's going to happen here. And he comes to Bathsheba, and he said, הלא שמעת כי מלאך אדוניהו בן חגית, ואדוננו דוד לא ידע. There is a play of words. מלאך אדוננו, כי מלאך אדוניהו, ואדוננו דוד לא ידע. You see the play of words here, אדוניה, אדוננו, right? He was a little bit exaggerating the situation. Why? What?
He's not the king yet.
נכון, and he never claimed to be the king. Natan is saying, I know what he's planning, but in order to create this urgency, he's already exaggerates the situation. He said, Ki malach Adoniyahu. It's like already like they announced him as the new king. It wasn't true, but again, he has to create a sense of urgency. She has to act and quickly.
Except that he said, מתנשא לאמור, אני אמלוך.
אני אמלוך, נכון, but not I'm not, no one pronounced him as the king yet, נכון, אני אמלוך. No, everyone knew that he is going to be the king, but he wants to say he is already the king, and therefore, I am telling you, in an hour or so, his soldiers are going to knock on your door and to take you and your son. So he must give a sense of urgency to the whole story here. ועתה לכי יעצך נא עצה. Forget about me as a Navi. I'm talking you as a friend, advisor. ומלתי את נפשך ואת נפש בנך שלמה. I'm telling you, your life in danger and your son's life in danger. Now, you know, this is very smart because sometimes a person says, okay, my life, but no mother will give up on her son. There is nothing like this in the world. And therefore he said, even if you don't care about yourself, Shlomo is in danger. By this, everything starts to roll on. לכי ובואי אל המלך דוד ואמרתי אליו, הלא אתה אדוני המלך נשבעת לאמתך לאמור כי שלמה בניך ימלוך אחריי. You already gave me a שבועה that Shlomo is going to be the next king. והוא ישב על כיסאי ומדוע מלך אדוניהו. We are going to end here, but I want to ask you, what is the advice of Natan? What button he tried to push here? In one word.
There's a vow made,
What?
that a vow has been made.
And therefore? So what is the emotion that he tried to evoke here?
Promise you don't break.
What?
Resentment.
Anger, maybe yes, because
No, resentment.
I think it's an issue of guilt. Like, you promised, and now see what happened. So David is going to take it to his heart because such a guilt, like I'm the king, I promised her something, I'm not going to stand it. This is a terrible thing. It's really like bring the light of the king down, the whole status of the king who promised things and cannot fulfill them. And he said, as you talk to him, he's a great manipulator. He's not only a prophet, but a real thinker ahead. הנה עודך מדברת שם עם המלך, ואני אבוא אחרייך ומילאתי את דברייך. I'm going to come after you, and I'm going also to tell to David, hey, you promised her and you didn't do anything. How can it happen? How can you do something like this? So together we are going to put David under pressure to change the plans. We are going to press David to appoint Shlomo and to reject Adoniah. We're going to see that Bathsheba is going to a different strategy. This is going to be the next week shiur. Thank you very much. This was the first a part of Perek Aleph, which is a long Perek. And I guess that we will have to have another 2 classes until we finish Perek Aleph. Thank you very much and Laila Tov. Who can keep the sheets?
Put it in here.
Okay, excellent. Go ahead. So I'll take this with me.
Yeah, so you watch, here.
It's mainly.
I want to go
No,
wait.
Sabeni.
Okay.